I've been staying in KwaZulu-Natal, I've been in Free State, in Northern. I just listened to you to Limpopo. But yes, I was born in Limpopo. But when you look at the housing structures, then they say that you is totally different from other provinces. When they say that we are poor, what do they mean? But you've answered some of the questions, Mr. Bajabani said that we go to Gauteng and send money home, and they go to Pick and Pay, they buy, and that money is going to head office in Johannesburg, and it works there, and it doesn't circulate. Now I've got an answer why. Thank you so much. Colleagues, I'm thinking that without wasting your time, we're given only 40 minutes for this session. I think that let's run it in this way. I'm going to request the structure, it will be in this way. I'm going to request the viewpoints or the comments based on the speech that has been done by our presenter, Mr. Maluleke. Then presenters, I will request each and every one of you to make your viewpoint, your comments on the speech. Yes, he talked about many things, but there are other things for sure that tripped you. You want to respond to them. Maybe you can give a short view or your comments regarding that. And after each and every one of you has given his own viewpoint or comments based on the topic of today, can be the speech, can be the topic that is reflected there. Then we have open the question from then it will be 5 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, right? Then we will do another. Then we'll remain with 10 minutes from the ground. From the ground, we are just going to take few questions. It can be two from this side, two from this side, then first question to this one. Then we is it fine? Okay. Without wasting your time, I would request the panelists just to give us your own viewpoints based on the speech made by our keynote speaker. I don't want to mention on anyone who feels like you can press. Is it okay? I have to say.
Oh, thank you so much. Greetings to everyone in the room and all protocols observed. Fear of spending more of my 5 minutes. Oh, Statistician General, it has been a great pleasure to let you are good man and I'm a teacher by profession and a businesswoman by another life. So I'm listening to you. You know how our careers and training, how we consume knowledge and information and data and statistics that we receive. So I was listening to you and I got really fascinated. I learned a lot today. I learned a lot. And I think most of us have learned that. But from what you gave on what was really powerful for me from my background was the issue of all the information that all the data that you have collected, gathered, and put together. That's SA. How much of public awareness at the low level, not as we can read on the websites and everything, how much of filters through to in Zilela village in Giyani, Zumeri? Does my Induna know that we are fertile in Limpopo, for instance? I mean, and I was trying, and you know what got into my mind, colleagues, was how the Department of Transport is good with public awareness. For those of you who travel to Gauteng during Christmas time, have you seen those crumpled cars they put on the road? Sometimes they even put a policeman, and it's just a board. There's nobody there. Public awareness. I really struggled, And I'm not sure, statistician general, I'm sorry to ask you questions, but I'm a teacher. So I also thought, are these documents written in local languages? Can my mother-in-law go and look for this document in Tonga? Will she be able to understand all this? Or are they still in English? I just thought to myself. So I was thinking of more public awareness, more visibility. Because, as you said, statistics help with informed scientific decision making and policy making. But that is at the high level. But our decisions affect the ground, affect the unemployed people you talked about, affect the youth that moved to Gauteng at the age of 15. How do they know these statistics? I think that is where I was trying to figure out if there is any. I've seen Department of Transport again does street boards. Is it wrong to have a street board in Limpopo to tell us our statistics, maybe? So that we know. And the more people know, the more they are aware of the actions they take. So I really went very deep into the issue. How do we make our Induna know these numbers? How do we make our councillors, our committee members, in their language that they can understand? Because at this platform, we are talking at a high level, but we are looking at decisions for people and levels. So that is um, came out for me because I could see uh, how information dissemination, that's SA, and all the inputs that you have, as your surveys, your post enumeration surveys, media population. And what struck me again, uh, statistician, was the refusal to be counted. And I was thinking, who refuses to be counted? What could be wrong? Do these people know the benefits of being counted? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe somewhere a lot of public awareness. I think it's more for me, if you educate people, if you deposit information in them, they act in a more informed manner. So from my background, that is where I saw your presentation, which was brilliant, excellent, and well researched as the institution where you come from. But I decided to wear the shoes of a normal person in the village, in Giani, in Malamulele, in Toyando, and say, can this person access this information in the mother tongue? Where is it? Is it on the website? Who has got data to download a full document? If they have a laptop at all. So I was thinking, do we have a possibility of putting billboards after every census to say, country, we are this much? There are this number of babies, there's this, so that people start to see the numbers publicly every day of their lives, so that they change the way they behave from the statistics that you have produced. So that was a very strongly coming into me. And also, I looked at the issue of business. What are you doing? And I know we talk about employment, unemployment, and other socially informed circumstances in the country. Then I was thinking, I wonder how we can have a session whereby, with the same statistics, you call business people. Let them understand that if there are more babies, we can open more factories for Pampers, because there's going to be more money there. So, how do we link this statistics sector so that maybe somebody, and got these crazy minds, they might, okay, let's produce this, let's produce that, let's produce that. So how do we merge the statistics to the business world, so that the businessman knows that, as I said, we have got this kind of how do we maximize? So that is what came out. And the issue of schooling, I'm going to finish, Chairperson, uh, was very, very profound in the sense that we can see the province until grade 12, it has increased, it's doing well. Even our matric results looked good. But now, post schooling as a province, we are still lacking. And I was thinking, anyway, the country needs more universities. That one is a given. I think that has been the talk since January, every January. Anyway, then we forget about it. But the university needs more universities. So the last point was the issue of how do we make money circulate in a locality. I love your mother, how she's able to tell you when the money has arrived, and hopefully she tells you when the money is finished, because then it means that uh, somehow in your portfolio, whether it's not yours or somebody, the way of enhancing SMME capacity with locality, so that our mothers can buy cooking oil that was manufactured in the locality, can buy mealie meal that was manufactured in the locality by local entrepreneurs. So maybe I'm throwing in a different spanner into your mandates as a status A, but maybe such important in terms of how do we go to the ground, to the localities, to the local people, and make sure that in no time the statistics help local entrepreneurs to be able to say, let's go commercial, there's enough market for our pampas. Let's go commercial, there's enough market for this product and that product. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate, I could see that we just stopped you. You were still busy going deeper and deeper. It's a very, and really it affects all of us. Thank you for your contributions. And I think that our Honorable Mr. Maluleka has noted them. He will try to come to respond to others. I know that others, they are beyond him. And even us as the researchers, that's why he asked the question as to what is our role as institutions and research. But I don't want to answer on his behalf. You'll come. Mr. Maluleka, do you mind if maybe we can get the comments and the views from another expert, then so that you can respond before we open it to the House. Over to you, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. I hope I'm audible.
A little
Am I,
bit.
am I audible enough? All right. Thank you so much. Greetings, one and all protocols. It's an opportunity for me to be here, which I really appreciate so much. So it is an honor. I would like to also spend my 5 minutes accorded to me, but not repeating to what my colleague has said. I'm just complimenting. So first of all, I concur with my colleague that Mr. Maluleke's presentation was not only insightful but thought-provoking. That's why she had so many issues to lay and even more to say. The other issue I would like to indicate is the introduction. It was catchy in the sense that it takes us out from the statistics aspect to understand the poor somebody somewhere down there. What are we doing about the person? With regards to the Limpopo, what are our goals? Are they the same like that? Should we do something? Because by the fact of giving Zilikazi's history, should we go beyond? And when I was looking at the program, I noticed that most of the time we had few people from other provinces, but this time we were going beyond, and some are even coming from KZN, and I saw even the international speakers, because I saw China, so to speak. So where should we really go with our borders? And linked to that becomes that heart of ethics you were talking of, because it starts with you, it starts with that empathy, then we go into the statistics. So having said that, how best can we use the statistics that you've told us? When you indicated the issue of unemployment, Normally, we just look at the numbers, but they are not, when we are using them, we don't see that there are some who are already discouraged. They've lost hope. But what should we do with them? You know, there are some who are actively looking for it, but can they be helped so that this will reduce the unemployment rate? The issue that was indicated with regards to population in Limpopo. Normally, we were not aware why they will say the population is high and is increasing, but at least we get a bird's view of why is it like that. But the question now is to say, yes, we have told it's fertility, but perhaps we want to know, if we go and tap into them, where is that fertility coming from? Why only Limpopo? What is it that is happening there? And what is it that could be done, at the end of the day? But the question that came into my mind was to say, you indicated that the youth are going to Gauteng, and this will in turn reduce the salary that we have, and even the impact on the education, even if we have high matric. But then, so we are left with the elder. They're the ones who are fertile then in Limpopo. That's where I was not quite sure who is fertile there. So I think we need to disaggregate that and help us as we proceed forward to come up with the solutions in the province and beyond. You also touched the issue of see that agriculture is one of those which drive income in Limpopo, but still we are not doing much. It's going Western Cape and Free State. So what is it that is happening in Free State and Western Cape? Which we should borrow and bring to Limpopo. But as you were saying, the things that come to my mind was to say, when you were explaining, we get clarity of these numbers. That's all the things that became clear to us. So it needs that talk not only at this platform, but even in institutions and students, so that when they are using these statistics, they get a clear understanding of what they are using, and also the clear role of Stats SA. And the fact that you said it's influenced by metrics, including politics and the like, best then can ensure we are trading in the path of quality, because at the end of the day, we want to inform decision making. The other issue that I would like to highlight is to say, the economy, it has been alluded to already, so I will not go to that. I would like to say that what are the ethics in research then that we need to include as a team, not only as one entity. And in this instance, as you notice, and as we look even into our theme, it looks inclusivity. We want to see growth, we want to see sustainable development. But if we are in this path, there is no such in Limpopo specifically, and any other parts of the world, or even provinces of the country. But so my question is, do you think that if we bring transdisciplinary research in this, will it really work for us? And also in our theme, I'm thinking the one thing we forgot, the society, because we are doing science for society. So we need also to bring them on board. Base, can we work together? So all these items that we were highlighting and identifying, they are all for us. So the whole idea is for us to work and a good cause. Thank you so much, Program Director.
For sharing your consent and comments regarding our presentation. May I give this opportunity to our Honorable Mr. Maduleke just try to respond to some of those before we can open it from the House. Thank you.
Lazi, let me thank you and thank the fellow panelists here. And indeed, let me start with the issue of public awareness. You know, we all go to the people who make our dresses or our shirts. You always your dress based on the size of the cloth that you have. Let's just say his budget is quite limited. Actually, in 2016, there were three departments whose budgets were cut: Department of Health, let's just say, and Department of Defense, and they haven't recovered since. So since 2016, we haven't had an increase in budget. Instead, it's being cut every year. So we will have to have more partnerships, but I don't think we'll reach out to more publicity. We will rely on being invited because it's very expensive to go on billboards and put creatives that must reach out. However, there's a point that we need to pursue and look at. Tambele, we need to discuss this issue with our provincial heads. Instead, to say our provincial heads are quite very independent. We increase the outreach in different languages, because if we don't increase outreach, we will only talk to those that can understand English, and that is not fair. And we can see how society can easily be polarized. Sometimes with the latest developments, see the world is polarizing us based on spoken language and dividing us sometimes. Be counted. It's the go-go in the village or people in informal settlements. It's not the farmers. The farmers are the most cooperative people. We have worked with them in every sample survey in the Census for Commercial Agriculture. The most difficult ones are gated communities, largely in Gauteng and the Western Cape, but gated communities are coming out everywhere. And more, the informed, the highly educated. When we send our field workers, it's disappointing. Of course, we are not going to break any confidentiality. But I was so disappointed that during the census, some of our key policymakers, including mayors, refused to be counted from different political parties. And I was why they are in public office for starters if they're losing. We are not. In terms of reaching out to business, we need to reach out to business, especially at your startup businesses. So I have had my fellow panelist here, Professor, saying she's a businesswoman in her own right. I'm saying we're looking forward for the day where we will be invited, as to say, because business use our data, they pick it up the web. Look at Reuters, for example. When we release our CPI, they have three people who they phone in at say three people listen their side. One who listens and repeats the number, one who listens to the number and repeats it and captures it. The third one captures what the first one has captured, so that the world markets can be aware. And if a mistake occurs, they fly in their key people. If they, for not mistakes, let's say if they captured the number properly, they in their people from London and New York to come and deal with the discipline of that staff member. I mean, they have the money. They can do anything. So what is it that we'll do for our emerging businesses and ready to assist, as let's say? How do we support local communities? I think one of the things that must come out of this research forum is municipalities. I was a professor, and if you don't mind your name again. Yeah, Professor. I was chatting to her during tea time. She was saying to me, I work with municipalities in KwaZulu Natal, and more in KwaZulu Natal, but more, and she's trying to assist in other provinces. And I was saying we see it in our data. The I come from KwaZulu Natal, strongest in South Africa, followed by the Northwest. So we need to work. In the past, the work of a professor is largely in the university. When I was small, the two professors here, when I was small, I didn't know the difference and a prophet. Because you are young, before you learn to read and write, in church, they tell you about a prophet. If you go into China, even in Confucius, they tell you about the prophet. In Buddha, in Hindi. So when I first heard the name professor, I thought they were a prophet. But I later learned that a prophet tells you about the future and the professor prepares you for the future. So one of the things that we can do as professors and academics, we must prepare our country for the future. Our local government have institutions of local economic development, but some of them are chaired by different people who do not even know the word economics. So how will they deal with local economic development? And we don't have to start by questioning their authenticity. We must first start by assisting them and make them realize how much they lack. And we say our university can actually provide training, provided your municipalities should send their staff members for training in economics, in social sciences, in everything, so that we can strengthen the LEDs for our IDPs. The second panelist, professor, she speaks about how can we use the numbers. She spoke about the discouraged work seekers. We speak about 3.4 million in the last quarter discouraged work seekers. But what I haven't spoken about are people in long-term unemployment, 12 months or more. Out of the 8 million, 0.2 million have been unemployed for 12 months or more in South Africa. So we are talking a serious issue about unemployment. And of course, she talks about fertility and relation to education and other issues. I think we must understand about fertility, and both professors about fertility, is that our fertility is not the decline in fertility, because it was high at some stage. While it's higher in the Eastern Cape and Limpopo, but nationally, it's declining. It's not driven by education. It's only in the Western Cape where it's driven by education, especially amongst the white population group. 64% of the city of Cape Town stays in the, in the Western Cape stays in the city of Cape Town, education. In the other provinces, the decline in fertility is driven by the absence of men. So the men are in the migrant centers. They are in Gauteng and Rustenburg in the mines. So if you look at while Limpopo and the Eastern Cape have the highest fertility, the children are born in September. These are Christmas babies. The men go home during Christmas, and when they leave, they have left results. And then that is where we see the highest number of children being born. All the other time, they are not there. So there was a case here in agriculture when Minister Mutsualedi was Minister of Agriculture at some stage. The members of the public were saying they have cattle, but the fertility amongst their cattle is dropping. And he went about in communities and he discovered that when they are bulls, they kill them. When there's a bull in the village, that's the first one because they say the female will reproduce. But if there are no bulls in the village, there will be no productivity amongst the cattle. So the men, if they are away in the migrant centers, we will not turn the issue of fertility to education based. What we need as a society, we need a lower fertility indeed. But what must drive it must be information. Women must have information about family planning. But when the men are far away, the only measure they can deal with to see if the women are not doing anything when they refuse them to go for family planning. And that's not education. And that's disempowering of mothers to decide how many children they want to have. Agriculture in the Western Cape and the Free State, largely from a household level, is more of them reaching out in sending it for sales. Provinces are also deploying a lot, including in commercial agriculture. But Free State is a whole cultural province. The Western Cape, the biggest industry for is agriculture. The wine, the fisheries, all the fruits that they can produce. We can do that in Mpumalanga. We can do that. We have a lot of high fields that we are having. We have a lot of sub-fruits that we can produce. And then the technical strength of Stats SA can only be made stronger by us, seated here, and others. We are not disputing to be questioned when we get things wrong. Make no mistake. Because when we release our result, make our methods public, and we want things wrong. 2003, we got the CPI wrong. 50 billion rands were wiped out of this country. 2005, we got manufacturing wrong. But after 2005, we have never had a mistake. We're one amongst the top 5 agencies in the world. Will make any agency stronger is when a spear becomes sharper by put on the whetting stone all the time. It becomes a lot more hotter, it becomes a lot more sharp. It would sharpen our country's research capabilities. The point I said at the beginning, Lazi, that I'm worried about the black academia, as in Indian, colored, and African. We are lacking in terms of technical subjects like your economics, your demography, and the like. When there are issues of national importance, I do hear a few commentators on economics coming out. But commentators from the academia, the ones in the bank have to do a public relations thing. We in the academia, one thing that we are allowed throughout the world is that we can say anything. And we must never lose that. And we must work in partnership with the media. There's no way, if the media doesn't know exist, they will not invite you. I'm told there's media here. How many of us will be available for the interviews to enrich will come out of the report here? Ethics, the first ethic in research, and this is my last comment, the first ethic is confidentiality. When people give us their information, they must be sure that it will not be released in the public with identifiers. They cannot be identified. So business side, if there are companies that do something, or less than 3 or less, we don't produce that information. Because it's easy for one company to subtract their numbers and know what the other companies are doing. We can people, or in this area, people are dying of this kind of disease, but we cannot mention. So I will give you an example. In 2020, there were 4 children aged 11 years that gave birth to children and went to Home Affairs to register there. No, not 23. 5 were aged 12, 58 were aged 13, 58 were 13, 14 were about 272. Department of Social Development came and said, give us that information. We want to go and target these children so that we can help them. Give us their information, their ID numbers, and where they stay. And they met with me. I was giving my laptop, my iPad, and the numbers were there, and I refused. In research, you cannot release information or the identities of people you talk to. Departmental development must go and do their work to be able to identify them in the society. Home Affairs is free to release that information, but I can't release that. The second issue is this, in relation to confidentiality. The SARS commissioner is my friend, very good friend. But I don't tell him where the taxpayers are. Have information about your income, the income of everyone, but it's not our job to tell. He's the one who must give me the business register, but I can't tell him where they are. The Minister of Police, Minister Kele, former Minister, and good friends of mine. I don't tell them where the illegal immigrants are. The statistician general is responsible for everyone within the borders of South Africa. Legal, I'm not promoting illegality, but as we're seated now, illegal immigrants are using our roads. When they go on the freeway doesn't ask them, are you legal or illegal? They press a light on the wall, it doesn't ask them, are you legal or illegal? When they use an app facility, imagine the risks, health risks, and other challenges we would have if we don't plan for them. President Trump tried in his administration to want to know how many people of Mexican origin are illegal. The census almost stalled. So it's one of the ethics. When you are researching, if you research for service delivery, you must make sure that it reaches everyone. Unless if you are researching on the issue of who's legal and illegal, but they will run away because you have no other way to know. If you ask them, are you legal or illegal in the country? Because you can't ask them for ID. Most of them don't have documents. They will run away. And if you exclude all of them, for example, we asked a long question where you hear in the last 5 years. So don't ask directed questions. Another issue is prepare people if you will ask them invasive questions, particularly your demographic and health survey. If you want to talk about people's sexuality, look at the issues. It's in our culture, it's disrespectful to send young people to go and ask old people about their sex. But our field workers are young people. So we have to go and prepare in publicity that will send young people. They are not disrespecting you. They just want to understand so we can record and they call. The last thing, again, in relation to ethics, we must know that the data we have is gold. And everyone is looking for this data. People are busy. Every day we get calls from marketeers who claim that there's a national database where they get their numbers. There's no national. There's never a national database that supplies our numbers. Someone is selling our numbers. Data can be sold, provided it removes identifiers. But when and they know your number, your ID number, and how you have, it's much more worrying. And then the issue finally that we must guard against. There are so many people who will emerge like they are doing research for a university and they are criminals. Protect the respondents. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Mr. Maluleke, for your response. And I would like to, colleagues, we are running out of time for sure. So unfortunately enough, I don't have my time with me because we don't use watches anymore. My cell phone, the one that I use it for time. So don't worry. We'll just request at least 2 questions. To wrap up, we'll request 2 questions. One, oh, I've already seen two of them. Okay. you are noted, you are recognized. You can pose your question. Then we'll come to you, front. I mean, you are noted, he can proceed. Please, number one. Right. Okay. Okay. I can see that people, they are banning, they've got banning issues, but we have to relax a little bit. Okay, they can come.
Thank you very much, Program Director and SG and the panelists that are there. You know, when you were talking, I felt if I had a maths or statistics teacher, I would probably have proceeded and pursued career in either mathematics or statistics, because our teachers back then would make mathematics and statistics so scary that you just want to get the minimum qualification in the minimum pass there, and you leave it. But going to your presentation, I think others have already presented well, and I concur. There are two issues that I would want to, pick back on. The first one is there's a long held, if you read development theories, there's a correlation between poverty levels and high fertility. It's argued that developed societies tend to have low fertility because they are enlightened, they have other economic activities to focus on, whilst poorer communities tend to have high fertility. So your statistics to confirm that, because you look at Limpopo and Eastern Cape, high high fertility rates. You look at Gauteng, low fertility rates. So it's an observation that I made. Then when I looked at all those numbers, particularly when it comes to issues of the numbers in terms of where do we have the demographics, find that Limpopo is young, a lot of young people. I said to myself, I would want to do a follow-up on the budgets of Limpopo, say from 2022, and see whether the budgeting invents talk to the numbers that are there, or the numbers that you produced. Because obviously, when you have statistics like this, your biggest investment must go to education, for example. It must go to the healthcare system, whether it's maternal, because high fertility, maternal healthcare. It must go to child healthcare, and so forth and so forth. Thank you very much. I think those are the two issues that I picked in your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, colleagues. Let's just be short to the point as we are running out of time. Yes.
Thank you, Program Director, and thanks to the panelists. My name is Professor Halima Kunyute. I just want to first an intervention to one of the challenges that has been raised about collaboration, to say that we have a forum where all 54 municipalities converge, which I chair, and all provincial departments equally. It's called the Provincial Capacity Building Forum, and an invitation to the Statistic General to actually come and present on the that have been here, because one of my responsibilities is to ensure that the confirmation and delivery mode within the municipal space is aligned to research, which was deliberate. And we also have all the parastatals that sit there. So you have, in essence, almost 300 institutions at this particular platform weekly. So for this campaign, I think the statistics that have been projected here will assist in the development of the future plans for all these sectors collaboratively. Secondly, on the aspect of having to use the statistics and the instance. My take is that as academia, fortunately, one is both in academia and government, gives me the advantage to balance out the field in terms of merging hands-on practicality with content which is sourced from the academic perspective. So I think for me also the other opportunity on the rural component, where in what we are seeing now, we are actually auditing the traditional institutions. And all in all, that is part of the focus with the new dispensation in terms of empowerment and gaps that we've realized is them having information to drive the economic sector within the rural areas, which is where I would think as well they could be enforcement, also capacity building in this particular arena is a challenge. Using this to the academics, we have some collaborative and formulated perspectives on it. So, thanks.
Can we give another person, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. My name is James Mwane. I'm just going to be very brief and very quick in terms of asking my questions. The first question is on, I'm going to ask a question that is of national interest, of course. I know that in your presentation, it was sort of like a comparative kind of presentation, but the focus was more on Limpopo, which we really appreciate. I want to know from the SG, the percentage nationally in terms of farm killings in South Africa. But secondly, I want to know about the percentage in terms of farm evictions in South Africa, in terms of the two. Lastly, I want to know about the percentage in terms of the land that is in the hands of white people in South Africa. That's the last question from my side. I want to know about the percentage of the land that is in the hands of black people in South Africa. That's why I said when I started that my question is of national interest. And thank you so much. I want to see something. I want to see something. Thank you so much, SG.
I hope there are still two. Let's accommodate two.
Okay, thank you. My name is Florence Mabunda from Limpopo Provincial Treasury. Maybe I just want to comment on the issue of fertility. I am born and bred in Limpopo. It's one of contribution to the question. We have got teenage pregnancies, and those children, when they grow, they will leave their children to go to Gauteng to further their studies, and they will be leaving the kids with their grannies. And hence, now when you look into the statistics of the social grant, Eastern Cape and Limpopo is the highest. So, and I think there is a saying that says, the poor get children and the rich get richer. So those people are not busy, those who are fertile more often than not. And then the other thing, in the interest of time, I just want to comment about why Limpopo and Eastern Cape will remain poor if government doesn't do anything in terms of turning around or changing the policy of education and the curriculum. When the examination starts, it's in my area where I grew up, there will be no student who will be writing information technology examination at matric. So innovation is not going to be there. There is no university around Limpopo and Mpumalanga that I know that offers architecture, geology, medicine. I mean medicine in full. For an example, I've got a friend who wanted to go into the practice of ophthalmology. She had to do the short course, leave the children in Limpopo and go and study at vets or wherever. So her career is limited. she will have to remain not as a specialist when it comes to that. So the universities in our in our provinces, ever if they are not turned around because they cost to do, it cannot be offered in the University of Limpopo. University of Limpopo will just offer me general knowledge. Kind of the courses that I am not. I am not to do. So around, if we don't decentralize the universities in terms of, in short, when I want to do actuarial science, I can get it in Limpopo. We must forget about a growing Limpopo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Munster?
Thank you very much. I think in terms of this whole issue of the fertility, we also have the highest maternal death rate in the country. It is actually shocking. I don't have the latest with me, but I think at some stage it was like 174 out of 1,000. I first thought it must be wrong, but that is a challenge. And then also our infant mortality is also very high. The days between the ages of when born in the province is also extremely high. Then another challenge that we have, and I think you already stated, they have budget constraints. But can we afford as a country not to have more provincial statistics available, official statistics? Because we are now dependent on private data providers like the global insights of this world. And I think it is.
Thank you, colleagues. I think that, colleagues, we are going to stop it there. We can discuss it throughout the day. It's a very sensitive issue. And I don't think that we will really allow a doc to respond to all the questions. But what I've heard, most comments, except the ones of Dr. Matuani, which I'm not sure whether Mr. Maduleke, do you have answers for him? He's the one that asks questions. The rest, they are just comments and recommendations. And I'm not sure whether we can give you, Mr.
Let me.
They gave me 2 minutes to complete.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we're going to give our panelists at least 30 seconds for their messages before we close. Thank you. You can
Just a quick one. We do not have percentage of farm killings in the country, evictions, because we measure that. But we would be more than willing to have to measure that in a sense that if we are funded and we are funded on project basis, and this matter gets raised and we don't decide on what gets funded. The methods. The policymakers come and raise these issues. We do measure death, but causes of death from Home Affairs. But causes of death, when the doctor writes, they write it's assault, they assault on the farm or assault anywhere. And if someone don't write, they can write the address, but we are not in a position to know whether it was a farm or it was at home. In terms of land that is owned by white and black, we don't have that, but the Surveyor General has that information on land ownership. Thanks.
Thank you so much, colleagues. We agreed that we won't be able to respond to all the questions, and I still know that there are some people who are still waiting to ask some questions. But time is not on our side. I will use this opportunity to request the last messages from my 2 panelists. Just 30 seconds. 30 seconds before we come to the
All
closure.
right.
Mr. Malulega will close.
Thank you so much. No, from me, from what I got today from the SG, I think what going forward from the good work that is being done is just to make sure that the information is given to everyone, so that every other citizen knows what is happening statistically in the country. That is what I could say. Thank you.
To conclude by saying there is lots of information in the room only. How about those who could not manage to come here? So to me, I'm saying I hope there's a team that is identifying key issues that are coming out right now, so that at least they can be taken further. So how best can we tap into this information which is coming from States SA? Of it, perhaps they can run table discussion and see how best we can resolve all these other issues that are emanating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Can you come back at the last wait? 30 seconds.
We need to invest in futuristic technology. When I opened my input, I started with King Zilikas. King Zilikas could not read and write, Lazi. Because he could not read and write, it is just by sheer accident that someone documented his story. What could have happened if it was never documented? Now we are capable, all those of us who are here. Actually, Ms. Mabunda raises a point in her questions. What is it that we will do to encourage our provinces, not Limpopo alone, to attract the best? It means we must invest in futuristic technology. Professors from all over the world, academics, to help us set up the best and schools. If we artificial intelligence, high tech, they would want to come and. But if we want to still go the old way of teaching only history and social studies, nobody will come here. Not that they are not important, but nobody will come here. And let me apologize, Lazi. When I was seated there, I know you want me to stay until sunset, and I would want to stay and have dinner, but I was informed that I may be needed back in. Thanks.
Colleagues, can we give a round of applause to our and to Mr. Maluleke, releasing you. We don't even have any complaint. You did your role. Thank you. Colleagues, at the end of the day, thank you for listening to me. And it's not only the responsibility of State South Africa, it is also our responsibility as such. Okay. They have to remain a little bit. Sorry. They request just to wait for a little bit. Thank you.
Including the facilitator. What's going to happen now as we wrap up this session is that I'll make my last remarks, but otherwise we have tokens of appreciation that we're going to hand over to our panelists. They said including the facilitator, and we'll take a group photo, and Dr. Malinde will come over to announce issues relating to the reprioritization of the program now that we are out of time. But from my side, just to say that thanks so much for the time you've given us, and